AI pioneer warns of jobless future. The man often called the Godfather of AI is sounding alarms about the technology he helped create. Geoffrey Hinton, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist and former Google brain leader, told the Financial Times that artificial intelligence is poised to wipe out jobs on a massive scale. What's actually going to happen is rich people are going to use AI to replace workers, Hinton says. It's going to create massive unemployment and a huge rise in profits. It will make a few people much richer and most people poorer. That's not AI's fault. That is the capitalist system. He dismissed the idea that universal basic income, floated by tech leaders like Sam Altman, could solve the problem, saying it wouldn't address human dignity or the purpose people get from work. On the timeline for superintelligence, AI machines that can outthink humans, Hinton estimated between 5 and 20 years. Asked why young people should stay hopeful, he replied, why should they? At 77, Hinton added, the end is coming for me soon anyway. Okay, so what's the real message here? The Godfather of AI himself is saying virtually every job is going to be extinct in a few years, and maybe there isn't reason for hope. I don't know, but if you have no hope, why get out of bed in the morning? Why even continue living? To me, that isn't rational to do. This time may be different, but everyone who's ever predicted the end of the world, the end of capitalism, the end of people having jobs has been wrong. I hope they're wrong this time too. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. We are in uncharted territories. There's no doubt about it. I see virtually in fact, our next story is about how Wondery is doing 5,000 podcasts a week for less than $1 each using AI host. So who knows? I may be out of a job very quickly here. You might be too. Here's the part that I've never heard anyone really explain. If a few big tech lords are all of a sudden controlling everything with AI, how are they actually going to get paying customers if everyone else is out of a job? If 90%, 95%, 99% of all jobs are gone and nobody has any income, it would seem to me that existing companies, whether they're owned by Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, I can't see how those companies' revenues don't go down to zero. If nobody has income, nobody has a job and nobody has income, then all companies are decimated. It's not just the working stiff. It's not just the Uber driver. It's not just the podcast host. It's everyone. How do you keep there from being a complete, utter collapse? I don't have the answer for that. A part of what we do right here every day on this show is think together, try to reason through things together. In fact, if you have thoughts and you are watching live, we are available live, but also available on podcast on demand on every podcast platform. But if you're watching live, you can post your comments right now, wherever you're watching this, and be a part of the conversation. I don't have every answer. The answers I have are based on my own experience working 40 years, working with Wall Street wizards, billionaire fund managers, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, presidents of countries, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, professional sports team owners. I work with them, coaching them on communication skills and presentation, media skills, personal development skills. So I'm bringing that area of expertise to the day's news. That's what we're about. So a couple of things here. There's bias, and I have a bias, you have a bias, the media has a bias. The sheer fact that I am reporting to you on a story about what Geoffrey Hinton said to the Financial Times is often a reflection of bias, because there could be 20 other experts on AI, and if they all make predictions saying, AI is going to make things more productive, it's going to be a bump up of 7% to GDP for the next 30 years, and we're still going to have more jobs than ever 30 years from now, the way 30 years earlier, when people were predicting the internet would put people out of business, we still have jobs today. And in fact, unemployment is near all-time low right now. If AI experts make that prediction, they don't get any news coverage. They don't get headlines. They don't get onto my show, in fact. So there is a bias about that. I do think Geoffrey Hinton does address a significant issue, and that Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and others have said at some point we're going to have to give a universal basic income to everyone because there's simply not going to be enough jobs. And societies while they like to pretend they're all for rugged individualism and the free market. No major democracy, no major economy today wants to all of a sudden see tens of millions of people starving to death, homeless on the streets. They just don't. So if in fact there are major corporations through the benefit of AI making higher profits than ever before, then a lot of people across the ideological spectrum have made the case that there does need to be a universal basic income. But what Hinton points out is, how is that going to give dignity to people? Some of you may know people, I know people, they retire and their life falls apart. They stop showering, they stop shaving, they stop brushing their teeth, they stop coming up with an excuse to get out of bed. They let themselves fall apart, they spiral into a depression, and they're dead. It might not be suicide, maybe no one can put their finger on it, maybe it's a whole host of health issues that spiral out of control, but human beings do need some purpose. You may have seen someone in your town win the lottery and they've drunken themselves up into a car crash 6 months later because they have no purpose in life. Now, I do remain optimistic about human beings' ability to find purpose in life, to do something new. Are we all writing poetry or all writing novels that we as humans still want to buy and contribute to and purchase and absorb, and where we're giving money to our neighbors who are writing novels? I don't know. That sounds a little bit implausible, but it also sounds implausible to the idea that AI robots are just going to do 100% of everything. And all any of us do is sort of sit around like, the Wall-E people, gigantically obese and just sitting around in carts, spinning around and not even walking. That does sound implausible too. Hinton has said this is almost like threat of an alien invasion. And it might be. There's no doubt about it. Let's keep in mind the big prediction is when AI reaches super intelligence level. And that's the point at which it can think like humans, think better than humans, can have access to all knowledge, assimilate things, and have true agentic power. And at that point, it's not just going to be an app that answers questions, but a brain, an AI brain, can be in something that looks like a humanoid robot and could cook in your house, clean in your house, drive for you, do anything and everything. At that point, virtually every single job becomes obsolete. And I've heard other AI experts recently opine on shows like Diary of a CEO that, even not just an AI host, but whoever your favorite podcast host is, let's say it is the Diary of a CEO guy who's a good host. An AI can look like him, sound like him, but ask better questions than he does, know how to hit the right moment with a guest, or I guess in this case would be interviewing another AI clone of an expert. So this is mind-boggling if you keep going further and further down rabbit holes. Where it all ends, I don't know yet. So what's the real advice to you and to me? You've got to prepare today, I believe, for artificial intelligence. Let's talk practicality. If you are an author, an expert, if you're a subject matter expert, and that can mean you're the manager of a small hospital in your rural town. You're an expert on how to manage doctors and healthcare providers. Whatever it is you do, my advice is start protecting, preserving, curating your own intellectual property and turn it into an AI so you can get ahead of the game. There are various apps and websites out there that will allow you to upload your data, your information, your insights into a clone so that someone can type a question and it type an answer back using your thoughts, your insights, not just generically AI, not generically from the internet. Now, I've done that myself. I have a clone and you'll see ads for it in a moment. Sorry to sound self-serving, but it's the tjwalker.ai clone where my students, and full disclosure, I have about 12 million online student enrollments in my online personal development communication skills courses. My students, and really anyone, you included, can go to my clone, not just type a question, not just call in and ask it a question, but you can have a conversation where you see me looking at you and my clone can talk to you about your concerns, can judge your backdrop if you want tips on that. Will come in if you're touching your face too much. It will tell you, that you're doing that. And that's how I'm trying to get ahead of this whole AI thing, because if AI is going to replace me, I want it to be AI I've created, I control, that I monetize. Now, I'm losing more money each month on my AI clone than I'm making. So I'm not predicting this as some get rich quick, but I am trying to plan for the future. AI was used extensively in the creation of this clone. Now, it's not telling me what to say right now. I'm thinking in lifetime to you right now. But I do have a script that summarizes a news story at the beginning of our 5 main topics every day. And I couldn't do it without the power of AI, because I'm drawing from a lot of different news sources. Sometimes the news sources have 1, 2, 3,000 words, and I'm having it quickly, almost instantaneously compress a couple of stories like that into a lean, efficient 160-word script. And I'm able to put it out there. And it also is very helpful in creating some of the text overlays, the images. So I use AI every day. My advice to you, use it, immerse yourself in it. If you're a student, don't cheat, but figure out how we can enhance whatever it is you're trying to do. At this point, I think that's all any of us can do. It may get to the point where it doesn't matter. And of course, one theory about AI is we evolved to a world where AI is so good and so self-perpetuating that it reduces the cost of everything to zero. And then we live in at least a partial utopia of everything is free. That does solve the problem of how do we keep from starving to death and companies not going bankrupt. If everything is free and AIs are running things, it partially solves the problem, but it brings up a whole host of